Hello and welcome to ET Campus Stars. We're on a mission to identify India's brightest engineering students. ET Campus Stars is in its fifth edition, and what a journey it's been. For this edition, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham School of Engineering is a presenting partner. Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham is a multi-campus, multidisciplinary research academia that's accredited with A++, that is the highest grading band given by the National Assessment and Accreditation Council to institutes of higher education, and it involves criteria like curriculum, research, infrastructure, etc. Amrita University offers engineering programs in 4 campuses across 3 states of Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. Today, I'm pleased to have with me Professor Balakrishnan Shankar, who is the Dean for the School of Engineering at the Amritapuri campus. He currently serves as a professor, head of the department, and the chairperson at the Department of Mechanical Engineering at the campus. His research interest includes material science, especially advanced electronic materials. Professor Balakrishnan Shankar received his PhD from the University of Texas at Austin, the United States, and he's worked with the semiconductor industry in California before his current role. Professor, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you.
Dr. Bala, would you say that on the whole, government and government-aided private colleges perform better when it comes to imparting quality education than, say, self-financing colleges, especially when it comes to engineering? Because the meritorious students and talented teachers prefer public to private institutions, unlike the West. Why is it that private engineering institutions in India are not able to match up to an MIT, for instance?
Actually, Melanie, I would like to say, we cannot completely generalize on that. I don't completely agree with what you're saying. Yes, you have a point. For example, public institutes like IITs and the NITs, they have a lot of government funding, and yes, they are the most popular, and they are wonderful. There's no two words about it. The IITs are a wonderful set of institutions. There's no two words about it. However, that doesn't mean there aren't many good private institutes that are competing very well. I come from a top-ranking private institute myself here, sitting here. For example, Amrita is ranked in NIRF, the National Institute of Ranking Framework, as a 4th in the country. And we've also got the NAC A++ recently. And so one thing you must note is that the regulations for the for the private institutes, there are more regulations and more bureaucratic loopholes to go through, less pedagogical freedom than the IITs and the NITs. So what has happened is traditionally, the private institutes have been at a disadvantage, for example, in starting innovative curriculum, innovative pedagogy. And also they don't get as much funding from the government, naturally, because they are private, and so much investment in high-tech research was not, maybe this was a scene around 20, 25 years ago. But now that's rapidly changing. There are several private institutes that are very competitive and are on par in many departments with the IITs, etc. I would say that especially here at Amrita, we collaborate with professors across all the IITs and with professors abroad. In fact, one of my Amrita alumni is a faculty at MIT. So to answer your question, it's not completely true, and the and what should I say now? The private institutes have started coming up with a lot of innovative pedagogy, and the government has been relaxing on its its restrictions. It's been selecting institutes even from the private sector as IOE, etc., and giving them more freedom, and that's really helping a lot. For example, we have traditionally many people who return from the West who've done PhDs and research abroad. They come and join the IITs, but now I find a large set of faculty coming in to join us and to other private institutes, because that innovation and pedagogy, that interest in research has really picked up, and interdisciplinary programs are picking up. So given this greater academic freedom, it's no longer completely true that only the public institutes will be preferred to the private. I think we are seeing a trend, a positive trend in the other way right now.
Since 2016, over 550 engineering colleges have shut down. India has about 5,900 engineering colleges currently. Now, the chairman of AICTE, the All India Council for Technical Education, the body that oversees higher technical education in India, has said that even if 50% colleges shut down, students will still get seats. Do you think, from your vantage, that students are less enamored by engineering, perhaps given high fees, perhaps poor quality of teacher, gaps in regulation, lack of employability?
Actually, if you look at it, this problem is not only in the engineering institutes. For example, the latest news, this tragic news that's coming from Ukraine. So many
Yes.
Indian students, medical students are in Ukraine and coming back to our country, etc. Now, why are there so many students abroad pursuing medical degrees? Pursuing Indian students abroad pursuing medical degrees, engineering degrees, shows that there isn't enough high quality institutes in India. It's not about closing down what
Hmm.
is it's not about the closing down an excess. It is
Hmm.
not that there is an excess in number, it is that there isn't enough quality. And what we have, I should say, we have as a country failed to do. Okay, we haven't invested enough in our institutes, in supporting private institutes, in invested in research to put state of art labs and high technology labs and facilities for our students in our country, which is why we had this brain drain. So that was, I think now the trend is changing and the government is showing a lot of interest and supporting private institutes also, but that's very important. So it's not like the students are losing interest in engineering. On the contrary, there are many new innovative things, mechatronics, for example, robotics, artificial intelligence, new topics are coming out. And the future is definitely a lot of engineering is there. It won't lose, people won't lose interest in engineering, but what happens is new kinds of applications are opening up, and we should make sure that those go to our students, that our students have access to that. So that is why I would say that it is a depreciation of quality. We need more global excellence and quality in our country in engineering. It's not just about the number. And once we increase the quality, you will find that a lot of students do come to you. And I think that's the focus. So
So
it's
you're saying that the engineering degree has not lost its sheen.
no. On the contrary, as we go forward, if you look at this, what is changing is that no longer people are interested in silos like mechanical engineering or chemical engineering or civil engineering. Now that you cannot, for example, you can have 3D printed structures in civil engineering. I'm giving, let me get 3D printed structures.
Mm.
You have additive manufacturing, you have 3D printing, which is changing the way you do civil engineering. But that doesn't mean construction will stop. You need construction, you need civil engineering, but you have a new set of skills to give this person. For example, a Tesla car, okay, if you have an electric Tesla car, the latest Tesla, it has about 7, 8 cameras all over the place. It takes images of the road as you go. It auto changes the lane. So it's more in electronics and a computer than even a car. But that doesn't mean you can take away the mechanical engineering part of it. So you need the core, but you need to have interdisciplinary skills. So engineering is moving into different kinds of areas. It's not losing its sheen. On the contrary, it's taking on an entirely new picture, and
So
that it's very exciting actually.
I want to then ask you, what are then the challenges for you and the institutes such as yours to make engineering more exciting and valuable for students?
Thank you for that question. Actually, Amrita is all about that. And in fact, our entire thinking is how to make problem solvers. See,
Mm.
no longer are we interested in thinking, I'm a mechanical engineer, I'm a civil engineer, I'm electronic. I am a problem solver. There is a problem out there in this world. I need to solve it. It may take skills from different disciplines. I may need to know material science. I may need to know computer science. I may need to know simulation, programming, mathematics. I need to know structures. I need to know strength. Yes, I do. I need to know hardware. I need to know signal processing, etc. So what we do is we introduce the student to a wide variety of projects right from the very beginning, and we make them go on the field I'll talk about live-in labs a little bit later. We make them go in the field and address real-time problems and make them problem solvers. And that makes it so much more interesting for the students. We have a large number of undergrad students, okay, from second year and third year onwards. They start publishing papers. Some of them even have patents by the time they come to the fourth year. And some of them are very interested. They have tie-ups with industry. They become entrepreneurs. So that become entrepreneurs. So they have their own, they think of their own products. They think of their own solutions, cost-effective solutions. So the challenge is to have an innovation in pedagogy. First point. Second, to stop thinking in silos. Stop thinking in terms of separate departments that don't talk to each other. Start thinking about problem solving. Start thinking about how I address the actual problem. For example, the flow of blood. I'm just giving an example. The flow of blood through my veins, right, from the brain to my heart, or etc. It's a flow. It's a biological problem, of course, but it is also, a flow of a fluid through a pipe. It's a mechanical engineering problem. It's also controlled by the heart with electronic signals. So it's an electrical problem also. It's controlled by the brain. So I have a neural network problem. So if so much engineering is already here. So you see, every problem. So when we make students problem solvers, we give them hands-on projects right from day one. And we give them a vast variety of interdisciplinary free electives they can choose. We give them a menu. You can go, and you're interested in embedded systems, you're a mechanical engineer, but interested in embedded systems, you're interested in Arduino, you're interested in AI, go ahead. We will allow you to take electives there. We will help you, what shall I say, make your own path. Of course, you'll have the basic skills, but you'll also have the additional skills to address the problem that you want to. So that flexibility is now, for example, because we are an IOE and we are a NAC A++ and all that, we have been given some amount of flexibility and what shall I say, informing our curriculum and doing these, but still there are some very tight regulations. And we do seek some more independence to have innovative thinking. But sometimes we are constrained by, you can call your course only by this name, you cannot call it by another name, and things like that come in the way. Some amount of bureaucracy is still there, but yes, we have more independence now to form our own curriculum, to have our own free electives. But the most important thing is we have addressed this challenge by making our students do projects and hands-on problems starting right from day one. So they become problem solvers.
So would you then say that engineering education now is more exciting inside a university than today than it was, say, in your time?
So much more access. They have so much more. We have such a strong international program. We collaborate with universities all over the world. We have state-of-art equipment. We send students back and forth. I have students going to, Stanford and Penn State and UC Davis for their BTech projects. We have all that stuff, and we have international faculty coming to us. So much more freedom is there. And so much more freedom is also there in terms of cross-disciplinary electives and courses. When I did my BTech, I could not take any course I want. I have to take this thing. That's it. And
it was straight jacketed.
Like a straight jacket, and I couldn't even ask a question. I'm sorry, I couldn't even ask a question. I dare not walk into my director's office and tell him, hey, I want to do this kind of a course or that kind of course. I would be looked at very strangely. And then they'll give me, no, this can't be now possible. You wait and all. But that's gone now. So actually, we give free. So there's much more freedom as a student. And yes, it is very exciting because the whole world is changing. Now, the COVID pandemic has been horrible, but it has also brought the world together in ways which was unexpected. For example, we have this smart classroom, right? Where you have students from different places sitting in the same classroom. They feel they are in the same class. So you have interaction, online interaction. You have simulation has picked up a great deal. Working from home is now going to be more and more. So we have hybrid methods of education, but more importantly, simulation. Students have to learn to simulate. They have to learn to write their own code, write their own programs, and they have to go into artificial intelligence and anything. And see, the new buzzword is AI plus X. This X could be anything. It could be healthcare, it could be engineering, it could be mechanical engineering, it could be automotive engineering, whatever. But now there is so much more to do in terms of AI, in terms of IoT, in terms of the car is becoming an IoT device now. So things like that. So there's a lot of more opportunities, but also more challenges in the terms of the student has a lot more things to learn, a lot more things to learn, and it's very exciting and challenging. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the challenge is not only for the students, it's also for the teachers, because the
Right.
faculty also have to upgrade themselves now. And so you have to be really at the cutting edge. Gone are the days when you could just go to, the traditional textbooks and come and teach. Those days are gone.
Is finding a trained or good faculty a challenge for someone like you?
At Amrita, we attract really wonderful faculty from all over the world. But yes, that has always been a challenge for all institutes, uh, constantly. Because many people go in an industry, you'll have to compete with industry, you have to compete with, and we have to have more and more state of art labs for, faculty to be able to do their research. And that takes a lot of investment sometimes, and things like that. So there are challenges and also opportunities, but we do get a lot of wonderful faculty from all over the world. But on the other hand, yes, we have to invest a lot. We give them seed money and seed grants and help them start, their research and their labs. And now we are looking at expanding our research facilities in a really big way, and so that we can attract top level faculty from all over the world. So in that sense, yes, there are challenges in it's become very, very competitive, and the faculty are required to publish. They're required to publish in high impact journals. They're required to do research and teach, and it is becoming more challenging to find people who will be able to function at that kind of a frenetic pace. And so it is a challenge. It's yeah, but we do have faculty from all over the world here.
Right. Professor, I wanted to go a little bit into, you mentioned that seed funding will have to be given into the funding aspect of engineering education. IITs, for instance, from the data that I could gather, produce about 1 lakh students per year. Rest of the engineering colleges in India, about 9 lakh. Each IIT is funded for what, 800 crores, and other engineering colleges at state level get, I don't know. The government seems to be focusing its efforts to raise quality on a limited group of institutions, perhaps like the IITs and the NIITs, that produce a small proportion of graduate engineers. This strategy, you know, of focusing on IITs for improving excellence of a tiny pool, what do you make of it? And does this need to change?
It definitely needs to change, and not only the government but industry also. You see, in the US and in Europe also, the industry also invests a lot in universities and in research labs in the universities, and students work with industry, and many new ideas, innovations, and solutions come from the universities. So, what happens is, when you do not encourage all institutes, when you are focused only on some, you're
Mm.
basically losing out on a huge talent pool,
Potential talent pool, yes.
potential talent pool. You see, the number of students, I mean, even though I went on IIT myself, Amrita itself has students all over the world.
Mm.
I have students working in Google and Microsoft and Schlumberger and L&T and Tesla, everything, everywhere. And they are working along with IIT students, and they are performing as well. Now, now these are students because Amrita was able to, give them that wonderful training. But supposing this, and Amrita is a very young university. But supposing the government had given this kind of support to all institutes from the beginning, supposing there was a different policy to, maybe yes, you'll have different protocols, maybe you'll have a different, more regulation to check whether the money is being used, etc. But at the same time, if that bias had not been completely there, so much more, so many more bright minds we could have ignited, and so much more pool of potential talent would have come up. And so that has to change. But now the government has it is changing, and the government has identified some private institutes, institutes of eminence, and
Mm.
they're giving us flexibility and freedom. However, funding, we still find that there is a preference in the government to give to IITs and the NITs.
Mm.
But we wish that there are committees that would come and see the wonderful work and the number of patents and papers that the private institutes are also producing. And then they would be surprised to find that some of them are as good as the IITs, and then they would probably think that they should fund the private institutes as much. But then, there's always going to be that difference, because we are not a government institute, we are a private institute. But at the same time, there should be some policy in identifying excellent private institutes, and to see whether we can do some kind of a financial help for them to go to the next level, to force the overall innovative atmosphere of the country to the next level. So that is a problem that needs to be addressed, and we should fund more research across.
Pala, what about private enterprise? Do we have companies wanting to link with universities to produce excellence for tomorrow?
Yeah, there are companies. We work with several companies, and there are industries, especially now in robotics and in computer science, they have come forward to work with us. Now, don't get me wrong, we work a lot with governmental institutes. We work with, DST has given us grants, DET has given us grants, the MHRD has given us research grants. We work with the National Aeronautics Labs. We work with GTRE. We work with ISRO. Some of my brightest students have. Industry collaboration with universities is not on a global level in India as it is in the other countries, and that has to improve. And industries should come, but industries have come. I mean, several robotic startups have approached us. Several computer science companies have approached us. We are collaborating with Bosch, for example. We are collaborating with L&T. We are collaborating with Infosys. We are collaborating with Microsoft, etc. So many companies are coming, but it should be increased. There should be a way in which industry licensing increases, and industry can fund specific labs and specific courses. We do have some courses that are industry specific, but that should improve.
What are the ways that can be improved?
Yeah, so industry can sponsor labs in universities. They can sit on doctoral committees. They can invite faculty to their and give industry problems to faculty to make them address those problems and solve them in terms of consultancy. Industry can offer more internships to students starting earlier, paid internships to students starting earlier. Invite them over and see if they can have a flexible way to take them to publish, to help them to publish also. One of the reasons we send is master's students in Amrita, a master's student is required to publish to get his degree. But when they go to industry, sometimes industry is a bit reluctant to publish it in a scientific journal and all that, maybe because of IP and all the things. So some issues like that are there. But at the same time, if they're able to work around that, if they're able to help them in giving them multiple projects, that would help. And if they can, for example, have a degree program that is, so we are now starting degree programs for people in industry where they can come and get a degree while working there. So that kind of licensing can be there. So we are going to be doing robotics, for example, for a BTech program in robotics, MTech in robotics, etc. for industry people. We've given MBA for industry people for many years now. So those kinds of collaborations can also be encouraged.
Dr. Bala, I want to go back to the ranking. There is not even one Indian institute that figures in the top 100 institutions of higher education in the global ranking of universities. We have two IITs from India that are placed in the top 200 global list of the Quacquarelli-Symonds Rankings 2022. While global ranking mechanisms, they may have their own weaknesses, they may even reflect some key dimensions of quality and the standards of our universities. From your vantage, where are India's top engineering institutes lacking? You mentioned a few places. One is, there is a challenge in finding top faculty. Yes, industry linkages are lacking, but where else? And how can we, or can we at all, become a top destination for engineering education?
Actually, the answer to your last question, can we become a top destination for engineering? Yes, we can, and we will, and we definitely are. And I tell you one thing, it's not completely fair to say that, because we must understand that the India has been through a lot of socio-political turmoil. If you take 200, past 200, 250, 300 years, right? And all our institutes are, compared to MIT and Harvard, they're recently young. Okay, they're young. Second, Amrita, for instance, in the Times Higher Education ranking for global ranking for sustainability, global ranking on social impact, we've come in the top 100 in the world, and we are less than 20 years old. So Indian institutes are making an impact. They are making an impact, and our students are all over the world leading. Several. Indian students. I'm not talking only of Amrita students. Indian students from the IITs are all over the world in leading positions all over the world. We are already competing with the top quality in the world. Yes, we may not have already got there in the top. That's why the government has now started this IOE. They have identified many institutes and called them the institutes of eminence, and they are giving them a mandate that you have to come within the top 500 in the next 5 years and the top 100 in the next 10 years. You have to show this much of investment in these strategic areas. Amrita has also been nominated as an IOE, and they've given us flexibility. And so that's a very ambitious thing. And I think that's a step in the right direction to get our institutes in the top 100. But believe me, it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. So while see, we are still young. You must understand that we are still young compared to Harvard, or Stanford, or Caltech. We are still young. We are not more than 100, 150 years old, right? IISc is more than 100 years old. And IISc is a fantastic institute. Amrita is only 20 years old, but we've still got global rankings. So we will get there. It's just that we've had a different history to come through. And with more government funding, with more emphasis on research, with less regulation on the private institutes, give them more freedom, pedagogical freedom, and trust them. Okay, give them more trust, and you will find. But I'm happy to say it's happening. So AICT is now less regulatory and more facilitative. Now it is facilitating. It is now mandated that we should have new interdisciplinary courses, like mechatronics and robotics and AI, and that's a step in the right direction. Wonderful step in the right direction. We are doing that, and all over. And our students, in the Indian student and the Amrita student, both are already globally competitive. They're already at a global level. Okay, and therefore, I think the future is very good. I'm very optimistic about the future. I really look forward to see Amrita and other institutes in the top 100, 200, 250 in the years to come. A personal goal, for Amrita itself, is that our target is that we've been given that the government has nominated us for an IOE. Amrita is all about finding cost-effective solutions for the common man's problems. So our entire Amrita University is on research, compassion-driven research, because we are run by this. Our founder is a spiritual leader, right? Mata Amritanmaya Devi. So her philosophy translates into Amrita's philosophy of service to society through research. That is really helping, because I don't know if I'm digressing. I'll just give you an example. We started this fantastic program called Live-in Labs. So our parent organization adopted 100 villages across the country and is working towards sustainable development in all these villages. So our students go there. They identify on their own what they think is a problem in that village. They come back and they work on a cost-effective solution, go back and deploy it, and they get grades for it. And this has become such a superb program. It has attracted international attention. We have students from all over the world coming and participating in what we call live-in labs. Now that makes our student that much more employable. So he is working with students from other universities, other disciplines to solve the actual problem. We've done great work. For example, there's a village in North Kerala which didn't have electricity till from history. But our students went there, they set up a solar microgrid, and they have electricity now, that village. So things like that. So a lot of solutions have come out from the undergrads. We've made, gesture-based wheelchairs. We've made robots that can navigate in a COVID ward and give food to the patient, etc., all from undergrad engineering students. And so why am I saying this is now is the time. and we should seize it. And given this momentum and the direction, I am sure that we will be very soon globally ranked in the top 100, not on Amrita and other Indian institutes. Just give us some more time. That's all I'm saying.
On that note, Professor Balakrishnan Shankar, the Dean for School of Engineering at the Amritapuri campus, I wish you all the best, to you, to your institute, and to all your students. And, may the engineering talent of India propel it towards greater success. Thank you so very much for
Thank you
speaking
so
with
much.
us today.
Thank you so much. I thank you, Economic Times. Thank you for giving us opportunity to have this wonderful conversation with you. I look forward to many more stimulating conversations with you. Thank you.
As do we. Thank you very much.
Thank you.